I ultimately ruined a rival's journalistic career, getting him fired and effectively blacklisted. And it all started with a simple rumor posted in my small, independent wrestling newsletter. For those who weren't online back then, the internet of the mid to late 90s was a different world. Many of us spent our time in Usenet groups, which were basically text-only versions of today's Reddit. You could find a group for any topic imaginable, but it was all just words on a screen. Forget streaming. Downloading a single music video could take a couple of hours. This technological limitation is crucial to understanding how things played out. During that time, I was a writer for a couple of online wrestling newsletters. They were independent of each other, and to keep things separate, I used a different nickname on each one. One was a review and preview newsletter, where we'd analyze recent shows and speculate on upcoming events. The other was a news and rumors newsletter, the kind that trafficked in the behind-the-scenes gossip of the wrestling world. We were a small fish in a pond with a few big sharks, but we had our sources. Sometimes we'd aggregate from the bigger sites, always giving credit. Sometimes we'd make educated guesses based on industry trends. It was a cutthroat environment, with newsletters constantly trying to discredit each other or claim they broke stories first. We were dealing in rumors. We didn't always get it right. Through readers of my first newsletter, I got a tip about a huge surprise in the works for a major wrestling organization, one involving a celebrity from another sport. Nobody else was reporting it, so I published it as a rumor in my second newsletter. Instantly, one of the major newsletters blasted it as nonsense, only to publish the exact same story 2 days later, claiming it as their exclusive. This happened all the time. It was annoying, but I brushed it off. The real trouble started with a different kind of rumor. A couple of lesser-known wrestlers from the big organizations were regular readers of my review newsletter. I knew who they were, but I protected their identities then, and I still will now. One of them told me an unconfirmed fact about a major match from a couple of years prior, concerning a real injury that occurred mid-match that no one had ever reported. I asked if I could publish it in my other newsletter, the one for news and rumors. He agreed, on the condition that I didn't credit him. So, I published it. That's when a writer from another small newsletter, let's call him Mark, came after me. He immediately declared the story was nonsense, claiming it would have been impossible for the match to have continued if such an injury had occurred. But he didn't stop there. He launched an all-out, personal smear campaign against my newsletter and me. Mark made a critical error at that moment, launching a personal and vicious attack. He was completely unaware that this single act of baseless aggression would lead directly to his own professional downfall. The attacks were relentless. I was flooded with spam emails and faced virus attempts that I traced back to him. Then it got bizarrely personal. He published a story claiming my wife of 10 years was working as a hooker. The funny thing is, I was a 22-year-old, single university student at the time. For his story to be true, I would have had to get married at the age of 12. As one commenter later put it so well, smear campaigns like this are just bad sportsmanship that usually come down to who has the louder voice. But his tactics, however absurd, were working. Our readership dropped by nearly 50%. It was time for revenge. My first move was small. I approached one of the bigger newsletters that ran ads for affiliated newsletters and organized a new partnership, which conveniently led to them dropping their affiliation with Mark's publication. Next, I went on a promotional blitz in the wrestling Usenet groups, and soon enough, our email subscription base was even larger than it was before the smear campaign began. But I was hungry for more. I wanted to completely invalidate him. I reached out to my wrestler contacts, explained the situation, and they were happy to help. A couple of weeks later, I had it, a 15-second video clip. Remember, this was the 90s. Video was a big deal. I posted it on a GeoCities page and on Usenet. In the grainy footage, the actual wrestler at the center of the rumor not only confirmed the injury story was true but gave a direct shout-out to my newsletter by name. It was a huge validation for me and my source, but incredibly, it still didn't shut Mark up. Then, I finally got my break. While Mark used an alias for his newsletter, he had slipped up a couple of times and mentioned his real first name and the university he attended in the US. I had a friend who went to that same university, so I asked him to do some digging. The search paid off. My friend discovered that Mark had completed a journalism degree there and, more importantly, was now working as a reporter for a regional newspaper. This discovery revealed Mark's greatest fatal flaw, his hypocrisy. He upheld the standards of journalism in his day job while flagrantly violating every one of them in his online hobby, and this glaring disconnect was about to seal his fate. As another commenter astutely observed, if someone is acting poorly in some instance, chances are they've been doing other bad things as well, they've just not been caught yet. Character is remarkably consistent. His wrestling newsletter was just a hobby, but it was a hobby that was about to cost him his career. I gathered all the evidence, his baseless claims, the disgusting smear campaign, the personal attacks, everything. I compiled it all into an email and sent it directly to the main office of his newspaper. I had no idea if it would do anything, but it was worth a shot. About a month went by in silence. Then, an email landed in my inbox from the newspaper. They thanked me for the information. Their internal investigation had discovered that Mark was using the newspaper's computer systems to run his wrestling newsletter, a clear violation of their company policy. For that, they fired him. To make matters worse for him, the newspaper was part of a large chain of regional papers across the U.S., meaning his name was now mud throughout their network, severely damaging his future job prospects. Without access to the newspaper's system, he had no way to continue his newsletter, and it was shut down. Not long after, I moved on from my own newsletters as well. The owner of the first one closed it down due to work commitments. I had eventually taken over the second one completely, but I was finishing my university degree and needed to start my own career. It was simply time to move on. In the end, this story serves as a powerful reminder that the things we do online, even under a pseudonym, can have profound real-world consequences. Integrity, or the lack of it, tends to follow a person everywhere. So, here's a question for you. I took the fight from the digital world into the real world to stop the harassment and protect my reputation. Was I justified in my final act of revenge, or did I go too far? Let me know what you think in the comments below.